So excited today to share with you tips about menopause. Prednisone is a medication taken by many women in all stages of life, but specifically around the time that our hormones are changing. We have a greater need for prednisone. So there's a lot of women who want to know more about menopause and prednisone and what we can do about the symptoms of both. And I'm grateful today that we have an menopause expert here to share all about menopause and the best way we can eat while going through this life change. So I'd like to welcome Julie. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, Dr. Megan. I'm so excited to meet you. When we first met, I had no idea that we had, so many symptoms in common that we talk about. So this is going to be a fun conversation today. So I'm Julie Gordon-White, the founder of MenoWell, Menopause Energy and Protein Bars. And I created this nutritious energy and protein bar because I was struggling with my own menopause experience. I was not taking hormone replacement therapy at the time and was hungry, sugar cravings, not wanting to eat good stuff, and needing to find a way to get nutrition in my body, release some of the middle, the weight gain that happens around our waist, which is visceral fat, which is the really dangerous kind that really impacts our risk for a cardiac event. And so that's when I created the product. And so it's really just interesting as I've learned that prednisone, women who take prednisone, many of them are menopausal or postmenopausal and struggling with very similar symptoms. So glad to be here with you today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so what do we need to know about how menopause changes the way we need to eat or our dietary needs? What do we need to know? Like, what is actually happening? What symptoms are going on?
Yeah. Well, it's really about our fluctuating hormones. There's this idea that we need to balance hormones, and it's hard to balance hormones because they fluctuate. Even, when you're postmenopausal, after your estrogen has literally gone off a cliff, it's still like balance is something that we don't need to try to strive for, but we need to eat in a way that keeps our blood sugar balanced. We can balance our blood sugar, and by doing that, that's when we start to calm our bodies down, calm our gut health, and really help calm our feelings and nervous system as we're going through menopause. Because when our hormones, estrogen, progesterone, and all the other little ones that we don't always talk about, are fluctuating, what we can impact is what we eat. I talk about it's really the biggest lever that we can control. Whether you decide to go with hormone replacement therapy or without, we can control what we eat. And so if you want to talk a little bit more about, what are those things, but, making sure that we have a high protein diet along with a high fiber diet, all of that combination with healthy fats. We don't need to be afraid of carbs. We need to have this well balanced, but we need to really focus on our protein and our fiber, because by doing that, that really impacts our ability to keep our blood sugar more even, so you don't have these huge spikes when you eat a bowl of oatmeal, let's just say, a healthy food. I eat oatmeal every day, but I always add protein. I always have egg whites with it or protein powder, because that carb, even though it's a high fiber carb, without protein and some fats to balance it, can really spike your glucose. And that's what makes us hungry and not feel good. And then we start to gain that visceral fat around the waist because of our estrogen situation as well.
Okay, so there are lots of symptoms, and a lot of people are struggling with mood changes and sweats, like temperature weirdness, hot flashes, or whatever. Does the diet have any impact on your mood or on hot flashes?
Yes, for sure. Harvard did a study about women in the stages of menopause and found that the more plants we eat, the calmer our bodies are. So making sure, now there's research that shows trying to get in, I know, buckle up on this, 30 different plants a week. Now that seems like so many, but herbs count. So, fruits, vegetables, seasoning, fresh herbs, even dried herbs are still very valuable in our diet. All of those help calm down our body. So we need to have way more plants, and that will help us get that 25 to 30 grams of fiber that we need, because plants have fiber. They're a great source of that fiber. And so yes, our what we eat really helps with those symptoms, along with spicy foods. Spicy foods may have been your friend. You might have loved spicy foods, but if you are in perimenopause, peri, we should probably define that a little bit more.
Yeah, tell us more about
The
what are the
stages.
words? Yeah.
Yes. So perimenopause is where women spend really a lot of time, 3 to 5 years maybe, and struggle the most. It can occur as early as 38 years old, but the majority of women start to experience perimenopause in their early to mid 40s, around 45. And it's kind of scary. I know for me and many other women, we experience brain fog right out of the gate. And you start to wonder, I can't keep two sentences together. I'm typing, I'm making so many errors. It's just like, what's happening? It's kind of scary. You think, am I going through early dementia or something? And it's again because that estrogen is not flowing through the brain in the same way. So then, you got hot flashes. Why am I waking up in the middle of the night with night sweats? My jammies completely soaked. It's like, so that's all perimenopause, which leads up to 1 day menopause. And 1 day happens when a woman has not had a period or a menstrual cycle for 12 consecutive months. So it can be a trick. You go along and you're like, oh, 6 or 7 months with no period. Okay, I must be getting close. 8 months, no period. And then boom, there she is again. Now it's like chutes and ladders. You go all the way down to the bottom and you start again. So 12 months, if you have kids, chutes and ladders, right? 12 months with no cycle. 1 day, boom, menopause. The next day, so have a party, celebration, woohoo, white pants forever, yay, and then after that, you're postmenopausal. And all of the top doctors that I work with, Dr. Mary Claire Haver, who's very well known on social media, on, and others will tell you that you are postmenopausal forever. So it's not like, okay, I'm done with menopause, I'll never see her again. No, she's with us forever. And so that's fine. In postmenopause, you still may have some symptoms. You may have hot flashes. You may have weight gain has not left you. It's kind of like that baby fat that you got when you had kids, and then like, when is this ever going to go away? So we can have some things that remain postmenopausal. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, that really helps explain what truly those words mean, because a lot of people are like, I'm going through menopause. Well, actually, you're going through perimenopause, right?
And it's
So,
the hardest part,
yeah,
perimenopause.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then for people on prednisone, this distinction gets a little confusing because
Yes. Totally.
prednisone can cause weird other changes to your hormones where women who are postmenopausal will suddenly have bleeding. And they're like, whoa, I thought I was postmenopausal and now I'm having bleeding. What is going on? It's
Wow.
because prednisone is causing hormonal changes and making your body kind of just get out of whack. And so it's unpredictable. Most people don't get it, but it legitimately happens. And then, even in women who are having normal periods who are younger, it can stop periods or it can make them longer and more miserable or just completely dysregulate periods because prednisone mimicking our body's cortisol, which then throws off the whole hormone cascade with the estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. So, yeah,
We're already struggling with cortisol in the stages of menopause, I'd say, so we capture everything. That cortisol happening, we're so stressed in our lives because we've got kids going, in high school or going to college, peak of our careers, like all of these very stressful things happening at once. Plus, here we go in menopause stages. And so now you're saying this is a whole nother layer for women that are taking prednisone, that now their cortisol is even more elevated. Is that what's happening?
right. Yeah. It's like essentially 10, 20, 100 times what your normal cortisol would be because you're taking it as a pill. And for me, it saved my life. It was amazing. But it's really throwing off these hormones. It's really making those symptoms even worse often. I, for example, when I was taking it at the age of 33, had hot flashes. Like my cheeks would turn bright red and I would be like sweating. I'm like,
Oh my,
what is happening? I am not
right.
menopausal. I am breastfeeding right now.
Right. Well, and that's another confusing. Think about women who have babies later in life and they are going through perimenopause, postpartum, or pregnancy all at the same time. And then they have a baby and then boom, they just drop right into perimenopause.
Yeah,
Really tough.
really tough.
So you know, you're like, what's happening to me?
Yeah. Yeah. So prednisone itself can make you feel like you are dealing with perimenopause, even if you're not actually. So, understanding these symptoms and the dietary changes you can make is really important. So, one question I always ask people when I interview them is, what do you personally eat when you get the prednisone munchy crunchies? And since you don't have a personal history of having to take prednisone, cross your fingers.
Yes.
um,
Yes.
what snacks would you recommend for people who do have to deal with prednisone making their hunger cravings unreal? Like, I'm so hungry, I never feel full. The hunger signals never turn off. The fullness
Mm,
signals never turn on. I
mm.
always want to eat, and then high cortisol makes you want to eat like the worst stuff. It makes you want to eat ultra processed foods. It want to makes you want to eat high sugar, high salt. What should we do? What are your
Yeah,
tips?
it's so hard. And I shared with you that both my grandmother and my mom, my grandmother was chronically had lung disease, so she was on prednisone for a long time, and it really wreaked havoc on her body and her waist size and all those things that you're talking about. My mom has the same thing, but in a not as acute, and so she's just had to go on and off for various times. So not so difficult, but here's the one word. Well, it's a two word, and I kind of already said it. Protein, fiber, protein, fiber, protein, fiber. And because protein, first of all, makes you full. Now, I don't know exactly how it interacts with somebody who's taking prednisone, but what I know, what is proven, is protein makes you full. Think about if you had hamburgers, not, I don't mean like, fast food hamburger with a bun and all that stuff. If you grilled your own lean turkey hamburger or 90% lean beef or turkey or whatever your animal protein is, it doesn't have to be animal protein. It can be vegan too, tofu, whatever that is. But how many hamburgers do you want to eat? Right? So if you lead with your protein and your vegetables, do we think we're going to overeat a bowl? I like a nice bowl or plate of a really nice big lean burger, turkey burger that I grilled, and a big bowl and big thing of broccoli right next to it. Now, how am I going to overeat that? I don't think so. You know, I'm going to be so full from that protein, from that animal protein, and a big, huge thing of broccoli. I'm good. Even if I want the ice cream or whatever, I'm going to tell myself, let's start. I can have this how I kind of fix my situation besides having MenoWell bars, right? Is that I say, I can have whatever I want. I just need to eat the protein and the vegetables first. So lead with that. So when we tell ourselves, no, you can't have that, that's what makes you want to eat the whole bag of potato chips, all the racks of Oreos, like the whole thing. First of all, it's easier if you don't have any of that stuff in your house. You have to have
Yes.
less negotiation with yourself. But I make always I always keep a big glass container of ground turkey. That's just what I do. I buy the 3 pound pack, 93% lean ground turkey, and I just make a big, huge thing of it because I can always scoop that out. Have a broccoli. I have a bowl of the turkey and the broccoli and a little bit of shredded Parmesan, which also has protein in it and a little healthy fat. I eat that first. It's always ready. I don't have to think about it. Frozen broccoli, boom, boom, boom. Like we make it too hard for ourselves. So, and I don't like meal prepping things either, except for that. Have that protein right there. So start with that. You'll be so full that you really are not going to want that thing that you wanted, or maybe you'll have a bite of ice cream and not the whole pint. We never overeat protein and vegetables ever.
Very good point. I love that strategy. I think if that's the only thing you get out of this is just start with protein and a vegetable or more vegetables. If that's
Yeah.
all you do, that would be so powerful because not only are you helping with the cravings and the blood sugar bizarreness that happens with prednisone, but those are also very nutrient dense foods, and prednisone is stealing nutrition,
Mm,
stealing all
mm.
of these micronutrients that are present in meat products, in vegetables, in these nutrient dense foods. So if
That
that's
which also
you do,
satisfies our body, right? When we're giving
yes.
it nutrients instead of empty calories, like, ultra processed chips and cookies and stuff like that. Yeah, you're so right. And the other piece is that there are studies that show when you eat a high protein diet that we're building our muscle and metabolism, and especially menopausal women, we're losing up to 1% of muscle every single year, which actually equates to the worst thing, like falling, right? Not having stability, not having strength. And so just by having a higher protein diet, it really stokes our metabolism. So helps, burn some calories just doing nothing, keeps us full, and it maintains that muscle, which is critical. So as we age, stay strong, and we minimize our risk of falling, because there's a significant percentage of people when they fall in your 70s and older, it can be fatal. They just don't recover. That's
Never.
not going to be us, Megan. No,
No,
no.
it's not going to be us because we're taking care of our bodies by eating good foods.
Good foods.
With people taking prednisone, that muscle loss, sarcopenia, myopathy,
Sarcopenia.
those
Yeah.
complications are even more dramatic and fast. I personally experienced this. Like I had strong muscles. I was like an athlete, riding my bike and hiking and stuff. And then I had to take prednisone. My doctor wouldn't let me move. So not only am I not able to exercise, but the prednisone was stealing it. Like my arms
Mm,
and legs got so skinny, and then it all moved to my face and my belly. And it was
right.
so depressing.
Right.
And like people have described it as being a watermelon with toothpick arms and
I've
legs.
I've seen it. My little grandmother, who was like 4'11", she was just like a chipmunk, just big, puffy face and belly. It was so sad, so
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And the muscle loss is so dramatic. And then the bone loss is so dramatic. And so eating those good foods you've just mentioned will help not only the muscles, but it will also help the bones because prednisone's the number one drug that causes osteoporosis. So we've got to prevent that.
Yeah.
And if we just make that one change of eat the protein and the vegetables first,
Can
that
I throw in a couple other little hacks?
please.
I always have the individual containers of zero fat, or you could have 1% or 2% Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt, not the kind with all the sugar and the fruity duty flavors. Greek yogurt that I'll put blueberries on top of, and you're going to get 17 grams of protein with 80 calories of an individual cup of Greek yogurt. That's zero fat. And then I do the same thing with cottage cheese. Some people are, yeah, like, cottage cheese. I love it. Get over it. You can have it sweeter with fruit, or some people like it savory with a little pepper on it. But same thing, you're going to get a big wallop of protein, 17, 18 grams of protein in that little thing of cottage cheese. So have those in your fridge all the time. Even if you don't have any prepared animal protein, have that dairy and eggs. Let's just call it out. Eggs are low protein. One egg is only 6 grams of protein. We need
Wow.
to have, we want to shoot for 25 grams to 35 grams of protein per meal. So if you want an egg, have an egg, but then add egg whites because all the protein is in the egg whites. But I really don't want like pure white eggs. So one whole egg because we get all those good healthy fats and things that are in eggs that are good for us. But have that egg whites, and now you've got a really good protein. So these are little easy things that you don't have to, major cooking. I don't really like to big cook anymore. All my kids are up and out of the house. I'm done with that. I know you're in the middle of that, Dr. Megan, but I'm done with
Yes.
that.
Yeah, but that's the type of people who are taking prednisone the most is those who don't necessarily have a lot of kids running around that they need to feed. They're feeding just themselves and maybe a spouse. And
Yeah.
so preparing all of this food is not like doesn't make much sense. It makes a lot more sense to do what you said and make it simple, make it easy to
So
do.
simple. And that way you're not tempted, and you can just go for that first, and then whatever that thing you might be craving, you can plan for that after, but get that in first, and that will help minimize whatever that other thing that's not really your friend. And should we say alcohol too?
Let's talk about alcohol.
Not our friend. Done. My dear friend Dr. Mary Claire Haver says you can have alcohol, but just choose. Do you want to sleep tonight or not? You know, that's your choice. Like, we're already struggling with sleeping, right? And alcohol, we just don't metabolize it in the same way. And so we can say, maybe you have that glass of wine on, on the weekend, but try not to consume alcohol the majority of the time. It's just not helpful.
Yeah, and especially for people on prednisone, it's
I can
even
only imagine.
less helpful. It complicates so many things. I've made several videos about that, so if you want to know more, watch those. But alcohol recently was proven to cause cancer as well. So like if you can, alcohol is not going to be help like it might be a short-term fix to get you through a stressful time, but it is a long-term disaster for your body. So yeah, avoiding
Let's turn to a few deep breaths. Breathing is a great way to manage stress, right? I see you taking a deep breath right there. 4 deep breaths where we inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. It's, box breathing. That takes us, far down the road of calming our body, calming our stress. Good to do when we're having sugar cravings also. So we can just give ourselves a minute to, I call it get back in your body, like when you're just thinking about, oh, I want something sweet, like take a minute, take some deep breaths to, okay, do I really need that? Do I really want it? Or what am I truly hungry for? Hmm.
Yes, very good. Yes, exactly. Prednisone is hijacking our moods, hijacking our decision-making ability. And so taking that moment of recentering yourself, okay, am I actually hungry? Am I actually craving food? Or do I just need to breathe and just that's a better way to get back in the balance I need, right?
Could women, or people on prednisone ask themselves, who's in charge? Am I in charge, or is prednisone in charge right now? Just that simple question. And I'm sure, we're grateful for prednisone for the wonderful things that it can do. It's a magical drug. And also it probably doesn't need to rule our whole life. Also, we can take the gifts that it brings, but also manage and offset, like with your products, your supplement, offset the parts that are not as helpful. But we can just take a minute to decide who's in charge here. Who wants the Oreos? Is that really me, or is that prednisone again?
Your perspective is so fantastic because it's so easy to get lost in the prednisone like pressure, the
Yeah, I
pressure
know.
it's giving you to do things fast and crazy and just respond to that craving instantly.
Mhm.
Whereas breathing deeply, letting our body go from that fight or flight prednisone excitement to rest and digest, recover phase is
Yeah.
so important. And those are really helpful tips of helping us go back from one to the other. I really appreciate that
Yeah.
perspective.
Well, I love what you're doing. And when I learned about your product, that you support, your supplement supports people who are taking prednisone, I didn't know something like that existed, and that is amazing based on your experience of the magic of prednisone. But knowing what it does, it's like having a baby in your body that's just taking every nutrient that you have. You're so excited about the blessing of the baby, but goodness gracious, it's really
It's a
draining you at the
leech.
same time. Right, but it's a leech you want. So that's the challenge. But so I love what you're doing, and I'm glad this conversation can help women who are really struggling, because mindset, we can't underestimate the importance of mindfulness and mindset when we're going through a big journey like perimenopause, menopause, and especially when if prednisone or any other medications are part of the journey. That when we have those mindful moments, minutes, I'm not even saying meditation because that sends people off on a whole nother like but mindful moments help us take back our take back control of our bodies. And this is what I love about menopause, is that it forces you back to your body. It calls you back to your body. You cannot ignore it after years of taking care of other people, children, work, beyond. The body finally says, hello, it's my time. You can't ignore me. And if you're on prednisone, it's really screaming at you, I'm imagining. So let's accept that and turn it into the gift that it is. So that's why mindfulness is so important.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Mindfulness is so important. And your baby analogy, I can't get over that. How how perfect it is, because they say over the lifetime, like over a pregnancy, it costs like 170,000 calories to
Mm.
make a baby, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm.
that's why
Wait a
during
minute.
like famines and wars, women are like less fertile because our body knows I don't have 170,000 calories.
I never heard that statistic before.
I
170,000.
could be wrong. It's in this book. This
No,
book is amazing.
we're
Why
going
babies
with
don't get
that.
ulcers. But like it is an expense you cannot afford during certain times. And so like during World War II, there were less babies born like in concentration camps and just on the war front because Mother Nature could tell something
Yeah.
dramatic is happening, right? And so the same thing is with prednisone. It's like that little pregnancy stealing these nutrients. So people on prednisone still need to live their lives. And like you said, having the time and the ability to meal prep is not necessarily a thing. Like making the turkey, just the grip strength it takes for somebody with
Mm,
arthritis might be too
mm,
much, you know?
mm,
Like
mm.
prepping food might be too much for someone. And so I'm always interested in good snacks that people on prednisone can either use to get them through, a long work day. I haven't had a chance to take a break and eat a good meal, or I'm on the run and, running errands and doing all the things and I still like I don't want to stop at McDonald's in the middle of that, or just I've got to get through this day. I'm stuck on the couch. What is a good snack I can use that I'm not going to feel guilty about? I'm going to feel confident is full of the things I need. So I want you to tell us about what people can use.
Right. Well, I'm going to go straight to when you're on the go, you don't really want to keep your yogurt with you unless you want to carry around a cooler, that's fine. But finding snacks that you can take that are portable, of course, a MenoWell bar is going to have 29 to 32% of your daily fiber, along with 7 or 8 grams of protein. Plus, we have maca, which helps balance blood sugar over time also. Only the good stuff. So don't leave home without some MenoWell bars in your bag. Along with, I love, I'm not a huge cold cut, because of the nitrates and all the yucky stuff, but you can get some very clean, like roasted deli meat from the deli. And let me just say, yes, sometimes eating well costs a little bit more, but our health is worth it. It's all we have. If you don't have your health, you don't really have anything. So let's set aside, our investment on shoes or purses or random things that we spend money on, and let's make sure we're investing in our health. So get that, that fresh baked deli roasted turkey or roast beef that doesn't have any nitrates in it, and get a nice piece of cheese or string cheese that's got that protein and a little bit of healthy fats, and roll that up and bring that with you. Throw some. I always have little baby carrots because I don't want a big, huge carrot I'm carrying around, but I always have the cute little baby carrots that are all ready to go. So having those little roll ups available, super easy. Veggies. Also, if you're a tuna person, those little tuna packets in the foil, that's easy. You can pop those open with a little fork and you're good to go. And they have different seasonings. And so you don't want to eat tuna every day, but it's still, those are some good snacks that we can turn to. If you are a jerky is actually, make sure it's not the sweet kind because we don't want to double down on the sugar like the teriyaki, but the plain jerky or jerky that's like with pepper, that's a high protein snack. That is another great choice. There's some healthy meat sticks out there now. My husband loves chomps. I introduced him to chomps. Being in the natural foods space, I get to go to all these great events with all these incredible natural foods, and chomps was one of them because he used to like the yucky, not good for you meat sticks, and it's terrible. And so now he eats the better for you, clean product meat sticks. So protein, again, we're looking for a little bit of a deli roll up that's the really good roasted kind of meat, not the kind with nitrates in it, that you can keep with you. Veggies always have with you. Buy the ones already cut up so you're not like I used to be with the vegetables in my refrigerator that go bad because I didn't ever cut them. Boo. Buy them cut, the are ready to go, like the baby carrots, jerky, and healthy meat snacks. Just have those things with you. And then, of course, a MenoWell bar if you want something that's got a little bit of sweetness to it, but not much. Our bars are sweetened with dates because we don't need more sugar. We just need the good kind of things. So that's what women tell us. One of the reasons they love the bars, because they meet their sugar cravings. They love how full they are because of the high fiber, but they're not too sweet. Really important. We're trying to move away from that desire for sweetness.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate all of those really important tips of what snacks we can try, and that things like MenoWell or beef sticks. I personally love Paleo Valley's beef sticks. They're
Oh
so,
yeah. Yeah.
and they're the type of thing we should lean toward instead of fast food or candy bars, which all of those things are what prednisone's making you want. And so,
Mm,
not stocking those, like you said, investing in your health, because the thing is, prednisone is prescribed for inflammation, and fast food and ultra processed foods are only increasing the inflammation. And so
creating it.
we need to do whatever we can to minimize that inflammation and give prednisone a chance to do its job by not adding to it, right?
Right. Right. Exactly. And calming inflammation is so amazing, right? So we need to, what you're saying, support it, right? Let's help our prednisone or whatever we're doing. We all need to calm the inflammation in our bodies, everybody, whether you're on prednisone or not. So all of these things, eating well, prioritizing protein, prioritizing vegetables, planning ahead a little bit, keeping the right things in the fridge, keeping the things that are not our friends not in the house, just makes it easier. It's hard enough. We don't need to negotiate with ourselves every day. Should I have this or not have it? Just don't have it. Don't have it.
Exactly. Make the decision in advance before prednisone decides for you.
Yes. And if you have other people in your house, tell them they can eat those things, somewhere else
Eat it at
at
work or at
school
school
or
or
at
wherever
work,
you.
or
Yeah,
don't
just
bring
not,
it in the
that
house.
can't be in the house, not while I'm
Right.
on prednisone, right?
Right. It's a group team effort, even in menopause, perimenopause, you have to talk to your partner about it. You have to talk to any kids that are leaving your house because, every woman is going on this journey. So we don't need to hide. We don't need to suffer in silence. We need to share, this is what I'm going through. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at myself. I'm just, I don't feel like myself. And so it helps everybody come together and be a big support team. So that's how I think.
I agree. The both those hormonal changes that happen to every woman and prednisone side effects themselves, we need to really talk about them more. Like previous generations would never talk about anything. And I
No.
think that was so harmful because people were suffering in silence and had no idea if what they were going through was normal, right? Like,
Right. Right.
is it normal to be having sweats? Or like for a woman who's a girl who's finally getting her period, like, what is happening to me? Like, what is this blood
Right.
thing, right? Like,
Right.
there wasn't enough communication. And so I feel that sharing with your sisters, your daughters, your friends,
Your sons.
your sons, like this is what your future wife is going to deal with. Like you need to understand and you need to give me grace. And for people on prednisone, like one of my most popular videos is what your family needs to know.
Mm.
Because they need to know you're on it because it's going to change your personality most likely. And
Right.
they need to understand and the whole team needs to be involved in helping you successfully recover from taking prednisone to get through the whole treatment
Yes.
and not have to be stuck on it forever because you have so many other things. Like we need our family members to understand both menopause and prednisone. And
Right.
they can only understand if we're communicating.
Here, here, I say that's fantastic. Right. We don't have to go through these life experiences alone. It's okay. And if anything, the more we share, the more we support other people. So it's a win-win.
Yeah. And I have a prednisone support group. Do you have any places people can go to find out more about you or to get support?
Yeah. So I do a live every week on Instagram called Menno Lounge Talks, where I interview docs. I know you're going to come on, Megan, and other people, advocates, fitness, nutritionists, etc. We talk about all things related to menopause and support. So that's really where our community is, and our conversations are back and forth. So that's the best way to find that resource. And then also, if people want to find MenoWell bars, they can find them at mymenowell.com, or you can find them on Amazon and buy with Prime, and they're at your doorstep the next day. It's so quick. So thanks for asking.
Wonderful. I'm so excited that you've got these resources for people. You've got your Instagram channel and your lives where people can go and get to know you better and hear even more fantastic tips from you and all the people that you interview. So, thank you so much for joining us today for your wealth of wisdom that you've shared that doesn't just apply to menopause, but to people on prednisone too. So, thank you, Julie.
Thanks for having me, Megan. Thanks for all you're doing too. Take care.
All right, signing off as Dr. Megan, the prednisone pharmacist.